Good morning. In this video, I will be showing you how to install the Kami Google Chrome web extension and how I use it in my virtual classroom. The first thing you're going to want to do is open up your Google Chrome browser, okay? This does not work in Internet Explorer or Microsoft Edge or Mozilla Firefox. It has to be the Google Chrome browser. We are going to type into the Google search Kami web extension. And the first item that populates on the search will be a link to adding the extension into your Google Chrome browser. So we're going to go ahead and click this. And it will bring us to this page. The blue button over here on the right side of the page says Add to Chrome. We're going to select that button. It'll ask you to add it. It can read and change all your data on the websites you visit. You're just going to hit Add Extension. All right, and then we've installed the Kami extension in our Google Chrome browser. Next, we're going to open that extension by going to the puzzle icon over here in the right-hand corner next to the search bar and select from the drop-down list the Kami PDF and document annotation. If you're opening this and installing it for the first time, it's going to prompt you to make an account. Use whatever email and password you want. However, when it asks you what is your purpose for using this account, just say personal. If you select the other three options, it's going to start you on a free trial with all of their professional tools that I don't really find a use for, and then you won't be able to use it after a certain amount of days. So just go ahead and select a personal account. Now we're going to be talking about how to open up PDFs inside Kami. Okay, so these are my teams, and I'm going to use my third period AP Music Theory as an example since we are going to be using PDF files for a lot of assignments this semester. And so what I've done is I've uploaded into our Files tab in Microsoft Teams all of the PDFs that I need for the first few lessons that I'm going to teach. And they can download them right here. You can upload these into a Google Drive. You can upload these anywhere you want for kids to be able to download. It does not have to strictly be through Microsoft Teams. However, that is the platform we're using at my campus. And so all the kids will have to do is download the PDF from wherever you've uploaded it. So here in Microsoft Teams, the kids will right-click. We're going to use Music Theory Worksheet number 3 as an example. They will right-click the PDF. They can download it, and it's going to save to their Downloads folder on their computer or their Chromebook. And so all you have to do is open up File Explorer, go to Downloads, and there it is. Okay, and that's where their PDF is at. Once they've done that, they can go back to their Google Chrome web extension where Kami is that we last left off on, and they're going to select the option to open from computer. You do have the option to open from a Google Drive if you're sharing a Drive folder with your students. So there is that option as well. However, that's not what I'm using, and so I'm going to be having them open it from their computer. At this point, they will have to navigate to where the file is and then open it. Here, it's already opened on my Downloads folder, and so I'm just going to double-click Music Theory Worksheet 3 Treble Clef. And then it opens up in the Kami extension. And since I've opened this file up before, it actually has my annotations already in it. So give me one moment to erase these annotations and I can show you more about what we're going to be doing. Okay, so here is the Kami web extension. I'm going to be showing you the options right here on the left-hand side and what they do, as well as the options over here in the top right-hand side for the menu, okay? Here we have the select tool. We can either use a select pointer that can highlight text and things like that we need. We have a hand tool, which we can click and drag up and down to move across the PDF document. We also have a select annotations tool, so that if we make an annotation and we want to move it around the page, we can just drag this over by holding down our left click button and dragging it around the annotations that we want, and it will select those annotations for us to be able to move them. Okay. The next tool we have is the markup tool. We have a text highlighter, a box highlighter, a strike through, and an underline markup option. Okay. And so the text highlighter works in this way. You select it. You can pick your color from here. I'm just going to go with the default yellow highlight. And then using the icon, they can left click and drag over whatever text they want to highlight in the PDF document. And then when they release, it'll highlight that part of the text for them. Okay. So if you wanted to highlight specific instructions for your students on a PDF document, you could do this as well. Or if you want students to highlight certain paragraphs or phrases in reading selections, they can do that as well. There's also the box highlighter, which they can use by holding down their left click button and dragging the box to any size that they want, and they can highlight a portion of the page. This is great for when you want them to maybe select a set of measures in their theory assignment or in their sheet music that you want them to work on or focus on. They can highlight their parts that way. Okay. The strike through option works as a strike through. You highlight whatever text you want to strike through, and then it sends a line through that text. And the underline option works as well the same way. And you can pick whatever color you want for these options. Next, I will be taking you to the comment tool. I don't find much use for this comment tool in what I'm doing with my kids as far as music theory and their choir classes, but just to show you what it does, you click anywhere on the PDF document and it will create a little yellow dot to which you can then add notes to. Okay, and there will show up a little text box over here on the side. Then that brings us to the text box, which I find very useful for kids who need to mark down things in text or write notes in their music. They can do this as well. But in my particular case, it's going to be great for doing note name identification in music theory. So what they can do is just click anywhere where they want the text to begin, and a box will pop up, and they can select, or they can type in whatever they want. And then once they type it in, if they hover back over it, it'll allow them to move that letter around. Okay? And so that's pretty cool. And so they can go ahead and do your assignments. You can change the font size, the font color, however you want. And so you have all of those options there. You can also format it by using bold, italics, underline, strike through. You have these options up here as well. Then that brings us to the drawing tool. The drawing tool is a freehand mouse drawing tool, or if they have a Chromebook, they can use their finger on the screen. The default stroke thickness will be set to 1, which will make for simple lines like this. But then they can draw with their mouse on the PDF document. So in this particular exercise, it wants them to draw a treble clef. Now, I will admit doing this with a mouse is rather difficult. So, yeah. So we have that. But if they're on a Google Chromebook, they can also mark it up with their hand. And so there's that. And if there's, I'm default zoomed in to 200%. However, the 100% looks like this. And so if it's very small for them to write on, they can zoom in as big as they want up to 400%, and then, like draw in a note right here versus doing that on a very small screen. So that's the drawing tool. Then that brings us to the next tool, which is the shapes tool. You have the option to insert triangle, or by holding shift, you can draw a square. Insert an ellipse, or by holding shift, you can draw a circle. Triangles, or by holding shift, you can draw a right triangle. And then lines, and by holding shift, you can lock that line angle. So a rectangle will look like this. You can drag it to whatever size you want. Holding shift, we get a square. The ellipse tool, we can make it whatever size we want. By holding shift, I can get a circle. For the triangle tool, you can make the triangle however you want. And then by holding shift, you can make a right triangle. For the line function, you can draw the line at whatever angle you want. But if you hold the shift tool, you can lock in those angles. 22.5, 45, 67.5, 90. And then, of course, a straight line. And then you can change the colors of all of these as well. You can also change the thickness of the lines. If you want the lines to be thicker on the circles or triangles, you can do that as well. Okay, then there's the eraser tool, which you can use to erase what you've made on the document. Um, you can also, for music theory, since students will be drawing a lot of notes, you can create one note with the ellipse tool at the size that you need it. Then you can go back to the select tool, use the select annotations square, drag it over that note, it'll select it, and you can either select copy and paste up here, or you can use Control C to copy on your keyboard, and then Control V to paste it. And it's going to paste it somewhere on the document, usually dead center, wherever you're looking. And then you can drag it to wherever you want it to be. So in this particular case, I'm going to drag it here. I'm going to drag this one here. I'm going to paste again to give myself another note. Paste one more time. And so on and so forth until they finish. And that way the notes all look the same too. And it's a whole lot quicker for the kids instead of having to redraw the notes every time. And so all I'm doing is just pressing Control V to bring up a new circle and then just dragging it to where I want it to be. And they can finish an assignment very quickly. And it looks very clean. And so that's how you annotate using Kami. The next step of the process will be, how do they turn the assignment into you? Well, they've got a few options that they can do. This is what I'm going to recommend you do because it's going to be the easiest option for my kids and also so that they can keep their work as well. In the menu over here, we have an open file, so they can open recent documents or open files from computers while they're already in Kami. They can share the document. They can share a link to this Kami document. Okay. And their link will populate here. They can share that to you in an email. They can print it out for themselves using the print function. They can save it to the Kami cloud. They can upload it to their Google Drive here, or they can download it, which is what we're going to do in the next box, which is the download box. So it's going to ask us, how would you like to export this document? I'm having my students save it to their personal computer or their Chromebook in their music theory folder. And then you're going to ask them to save it with all annotations. That is the default setting. If they save original, it's not going to show the annotations or the work that they've made. If it says annotations only, all you're going to do is get a blank page with whatever they annotated. So you're not going to see it on the physical assignment. You also have the option to export to a Google Drive as well, if they sync up their Google Drive to their Kami account. Then you can edit the file name right here. I've asked my students to put their first name, last name, and then leave the file type the way that I sent it to them. So in this case, it'll be first name, last name, and then Music Theory Worksheet 3. You can then select the option to flatten annotations. What this means is that when they send you the PDF, the annotations will not be able to be edited or changed on your end. And then, of course, if they're doing a multiple page assignment, you can select these options here. So let's say you gave them a 5-page PDF, but you only wanted them to work on the first 2 pages. Well, then they can select annotated pages only, and it will send those pages to you, just those first 2, and they don't have to worry about it. Or they can select a page range. Let's say you assigned a 10-page PDF. They worked on all 10 pages, but all you want is pages 1 through 5. You can tell them to select 1-5. Sorry, I think you have to put a space in between them. Or no, I don't have a 5-page document, so it's telling me invalid page ranges. Okay, for this sake, we've only done 1 page, so we're going to begin our export. And then it will bring up a prompt onto where you want to save the file. I have my students create a music theory folder on their computer to save all their assignments in and keep it organized. And so then they will save it to that folder here. I'm just going to save it to my downloads. And then it will download onto their laptop or Chromebook. Then what they can do is go into Google or go back into Microsoft Teams, go to their assignment, and then they can turn it into you here. There will be an option in Microsoft Teams that says to add work. They can attach files there, and then they can turn it into you, and then you have it, and then you can grade it from there. And so that's how to use the Kami web extension And I hope that you find it useful. If you did, just drop a like on this video and subscribe for some more content. I'm going to be putting out more videos using technology in the virtual classroom. A lot of videos related to Microsoft Teams, since that's what my campus is using. And as always, if you guys need any help or have any questions, you can always just shoot me an email or reach me on Microsoft Teams. So thank you very much and have a great day.